So Destiny DeHaven is a pattern breaker and bullshit detector. However, she wasn't always that. She grew up in a large extended Hawaiian family. Yes, she's Hawaiian. She has been told what she had been told what she could and couldn't do and what she should be. Destiny internalized these voices, which turned into a lot of fear, anxiety, and many limiting beliefs. Since she's also a rebel and likes to push the boundaries, she decided to say, forget that. By diving into personal and professional development and doing her own work, she clears those voices from her past, present, and future. When asked what lights you up about what you do, Destiny loves the sound clients make when she does an energy clearing with them and frees them of their fear, anxiety, and stress. Destiny loves Schitt's Creek, Spaceballs the movie, dry British wit, painting rocks, and empowering others to step into their power. Her chops include being certified in neurolinguistic programming, hypnotherapy, and the subconscious release technique, amongst others, as well as a BA of English from the University of Hawaii. So help me welcome Destiny DeHaven.
Thank you, ladies. So I just have to let you know my dog has decided to join us. So you might hear him clacking around down here. He's not currently moving. I don't think that'll be the case for the whole presentation. So I'm going to share my screen with you. One moment. And Deb, you're absolutely right about like the technology and presenting on Zoom. So, all right, here we go. All right, so we are here to talk about procrastination and to stop stalling and start doing. So just to give you a little bit of background, my bio, like Selah mentioned, I'm also married to my husband, Larry. On Facebook, if you follow me on my professional page, I call him hubby or hubster. Please do not call him that in person. He will give you an eye and he'll know that you follow my page though. So that's kind of fun for me. We do have an adopted pup named Chance who is currently right on my feet as I speak. And then if you would like the slides to this presentation, I'm happy to share them with you. You'll get the slides as well as all of my speaker notes, and I will put a link in at the end of this presentation where you can sign up to get it, and I'm happy to send it your way. And I love audience participation and having fun. So what that looks like, I can't see the chat. However, if you put things in the chat, I will see it afterwards, but I will be scrolling through on the side. I can see all your faces and like nodding your head, giving me a thumbs up, taking notes, whatever that looks like. That would be great. And so what I'd like you to do at this time is to get just a piece of paper. Yes, Selah?
I'm going to moderate for you. So if people have questions or something, I've actually heard this from Destiny like a week and a half ago. Awesome. And so I will try and keep track of people's questions as we roll. So feel free to type them in the chat as well.
Phenomenal.
Okay.
All right. So if you grab a piece of paper and then just number it 1 through 6. Okay. And what we're going to talk about is how our mindset caused and craves procrastination. Like it wants more. There's an addiction to it. Okay. So question number 1, the last time you procrastinated, what was the thing that you were supposed to get done? For some of us, it might be taxes. I'm guilty of that one. For some of us, it might be setting up our emails or sending an email or making a phone call. What was the thing that you needed to get done and you were supposed to get done? And then question number 2, what did you do instead? So my go-to instead thing is cleaning my kitchen. I don't know what it is, but even if there's just one fork in there, the whole kitchen needs to be cleaned. Sometimes I will binge watch Netflix. I will do laundry. And I'm like, I don't know what the deal is with the housework that all of a sudden I want to do. However, that's what I usually do instead. Okay, so go ahead and write down your number 1 and your number 2. What did you do instead? Okay. So we've all seen this. Well, maybe you haven't seen this, but I thought this was a really great example of what do we do instead. So if you look at this, it's the map of procrastination. So there's TV Peak, there's the River of Excuses, Mount Gaming, Daydream Beach. I think I would fall into like a little bit of the sudden urge to do Laundry Valley and Mountains of Distraction. But what is it that the behaviors that you do? Take a look, and this might spark something for you. And you can answer your number 2 there as well. Isle of Good Intentions, that's always a good one. Online Shopping Cove, you know, we've got those. So we've seen this, this meme before. It's the iceberg illusion, right? where they talk about success and what people actually see as above the surface and what people don't see as below. So I was thinking to myself, it'd be really cool to do this, but with procrastination instead. And so here's the things that people don't see happening with procrastination. There's a judgment. We are judging ourselves for it, right? Oh, I should have done that. Oh, why didn't I do this? Oh, why on earth did I sign up to do X, Y, and Z? A lot of internal judgment. There's also a need and a want for perfection. And so because we haven't been able to reach this self-imposed level of perfection, we're not going to put it out yet. We're going to wait. We're going to put off doing it. There's also overwhelm. Sometimes the project is just really, really big and it seems like a lot. And so we feel overwhelmed and we just don't want to do anything yet. Overwhelm can also look like I don't know how to do something, right? So if I don't know how, or I'm not able to see the beginning and the end of this, I don't know what to do next. So there's a creation of overwhelm. There's also scarcity and fear. And so the scarcity can come in the form of like a fear of failure or a fear of success, the fear of not enough, or the fear of missing out. So when I presented this to another group earlier, a lot of them were like, oh, I'd rather go and do the thing with my friends, go to dinner with my friends, go drinking with my friends, because they feared missing out instead of doing that thing that they needed to do, okay? And so what happens up above? Well, we tend to devalue ourselves, and then we also attempt to avoid conflict and tolerating. And so the way that we avoid conflict and tolerating is maybe we stick around doing something longer than we should. I'm guilty of, staying in a job that I really shouldn't have for about an extra 3 to 4 months. Some people stay in relationships longer than they should because they're attempting to avoid that conflict. There's also people like they stay in positions like leadership positions that they just don't want to do anymore. However, they keep doing it. And then when it comes to devaluing ourselves, we may not necessarily call it that, but it's what we're doing when we give our time away and we are sacrificing the time for us to do the thing that we needed to do. So it could be our self-care. It could be, running our business instead of, going to help someone else. Whatever it is that we are sacrificing of ourselves, that instead of, like, maybe we put their needs first. That's another good one, is we put their needs first before the thing that we need to get done. That's a form of devaluing ourselves. So here's the next question, number 3. Which of these caused your procrastination? So is it judgment, perfection? Is there a fear, an overwhelm? Is it because you're avoiding conflict? The devaluing also could be interpreted as like you don't feel worthy of something as well, right? Like you don't go for something because you don't feel worthy of it. That could be a form of devaluing yourself as well. Okay. So question number 3 again is, which one of these things up here, cause your procrastination? Or maybe there's something else that causes your procrastination. If there is, type it in the chat because I totally want to know so I can add it to my slides, just saying. Okay. So here's the good news in all of this. Everything that you're seeing on this screen, the causes of the procrastination are all caused by one thing. And that is our self-belief. That's it, just our self-belief. So that's great news because that's one thing that we get to like look at and take care of, right? Instead of it being like 10 or 12 things. So here's what's good about self-belief. We learned it, right? So that also means that we can unlearn it. And that also means we learn procrastination, because if procrastination is related to our self-belief, look at that right there. So where did we learn this self-belief stuff from? It's from life, okay? And so when I say life, you're like, that's not really helpful, Destiny. Well, I'm gonna dive into that right now. So here's what that looks like. Between the ages of 0 and 4 years old, we learn 50% of everything that we learn. The things that we do, how we put pants on, how we brush our teeth, our ABCs, all of that, by 4 years old, 50% is locked into our brain. Between the ages of 5 to 8 years old, it's another 30%. So by 8, we've got 80% of everything that we've learned in our noggins. Between the ages of 9 to 18, another 15%. Okay? Which means by the time we are 18 years old, and we are, I don't know about you, I was kicked out of the house at 18. They're like, bye, head on out. By the time they were pushing me out the door to live my own life, I had 95% of my beliefs, habits, and decisions neurologically hardwired in my brain that I actually learned from my parents or my aunts and uncles or whoever was around me. So I was basically being programmed with 95% of everything that I knew with my parents' life. So here I was going out to live my own life, and in fact, I was living my parents'. And I was like, and I find myself doing this often. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was just like my mom. Oh my gosh, that was just like my dad. So it pops up, right? So where do we learn this stuff from? Well, it's very often people with authority over us. So when we're younger, it's our parents, you know, our teachers. If we have specifically older siblings, I see this dynamic, or maybe an older cousin relationship, somebody that has authority over us who we're supposed to listen to or follow. We have our friends, right? Doctors and media. I put doctors on here because at the age of 6, my doctor told me that I wasn't gonna live past the age of 30. Mostly because I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at 4, and he did this newfangled test, right? It was this new thing. And he's like, yeah, you're gonna live until 30 with this. Well, it created a limiting belief in me and a self-belief that I'm not gonna live past 30, so why should I do anything? I didn't have a 401k. I didn't have any planning past 30. I actually didn't marry my husband until I was 31 because I thought I was legitimately going to pass away at 30, right? So we get to be careful of all of these influences on us and what it means into our mind. And oh my gosh, the media and social media, our kids these days are dealing with a lot, and so are we. We are getting more information in a day than our ancestors used to get in an entire lifetime. That is a lot of just input into our brains, and we're not sure what to make of it. So in other arenas, especially in the personal development arena, they call self-belief different things. They call it programming, conditioning. If you're involved in the Catholic or Christian church, they may call it generational curses. I call it bullshit stories or head trash. In NLP, they call it decisions, and Brene Brown fans, you know that she calls them barriers. Okay. So now it's your turn. Who did you learn to procrastinate from? Who taught it to you? And I can very specifically go back to the moments with my mom. She would sit at her computer late at night and she would work. And she would stay up until like 4 o'clock in the morning and then wake up at 6 to get us ready to go to school. And it was always like this frustration with her. And so I learned that that's what I'm supposed to do when I'm an adult. That's what it's supposed to look like. That frustration, that angst, that's what it needs to look like. And so I need to stay up late and then wake up early so I can feel the same way because I didn't know anything else. So I learned it from my mom. So who did you learn yours from? Okay. And now here's like my favorite slide of this whole presentation. All right, so here are some of the things that happen with our self-belief. We start to think about these things. So the first one, that like one of the stories, the bullshit stories that we can tell ourselves is, I work well under pressure. So you will force yourself to go up against that deadline at the last minute because you want to feel that pressure because you work well under it. Okay. The next one is, I'm waiting for inspiration. That's always a good one. I see that a lot with artists. I'm not going to finish this on time, so what's the point? So why even begin? I've got so much to do right now that I'll do it later. I've got plenty of time and or not enough time. So if I've got plenty of time, I don't have to start yet. If I don't have enough time, why should I start? I hate doing this. I'm waiting for help. I'm not qualified or I'm not an expert to do this. It's not that important, right? So take a look at these. These are the head, this is the head trash. These are your procrastination itty bitty shitty committee is telling you something that says, you know what, it's better to procrastinate than to do the thing that you're supposed to. And here's why. And this is what your procrastination itty bitty shitty committee is saying. So here's my next question for you. What does your procrastination itty bitty committee sound like? What is running through your mind when you're procrastinating? Okay. Is it any of these? Is there something different? If there's something different, again, I want to know. Could you imagine like this slide just like full of it, like literally full of it? Haha, crack myself up. Okay. So what is your itty bitty procrastination shitty committee telling you? Okay. Awesome. I see you guys like writing. Thank you. That's phenomenal. All right. So there's another thing that we get to pay attention to when it comes to our brains and what it's addicted to. So we are addicted to this story, this belief, aka an excuse. We are also addicted to the energy that procrastination causes. There are some people that get this adrenaline rush, this excitement, a joy from procrastinating. It's an adrenaline rush for them. Okay. Some people get the overcomer and superhero. That was my mom. She would go in without fail the next day. She's like, you guys, I stayed up until 4 a.m. finishing this. And everybody would be like, oh, thank you so much. And she loved it. She loved that. She was addicted to that energy. Now, on the other side of that, some people feel stress and they feel tension and fear. Normally they carry it like in their shoulder and neck area, and like you can see them getting all crunched up at it. Some people feel like they're alone, right? Like, oh, I'm the only one that's doing this. Oh, I'm the only one that has to do it. I'm the only one that can do it, right? And some people feel and shift into a victim mindset. And the victim mindset is more of like, oh, why does this always happen to me? Why do they always give me the project at the last minute? Why do I always say yes? That's the kind of mindset that we're looking at there. Okay. So here's my question for you. How do you feel when you procrastinate? Okay. Are you one of the adrenaline? Are you on the adrenaline excitement side, or are you on the stress, oh my gosh, this is horrible side? How do you feel when you procrastinate? Okay. So at the beginning of this portion, I was talking about how we had learned our self-belief, therefore we learned procrastination. And that was my good news, right? So here's even better news for you. It's that if we learn it, we can unlearn it. So how do we unlearn something that we learned way back when, that maybe only now we are being able to like say, hey, that's what's going on? Okay. Well, the best way that I can show you how to do this is with a tree. And let me back up real quick. So this is how we're going to identify procrastination ahead of time. I'm going to show you how to do that. And I'm going to use a tree to do it. So as you can see with the tree, there are roots on the bottom, there's a grass line, and then up above you see the bark, the branches, and the leaves. So here's what it looks like. Down at the very bottom, at the base of our roots, are our beliefs. Okay? Just above our beliefs, however, under the grass line, is our thoughts. And I like this representation because the grass line also represents, much like our iceberg at the beginning, that everything underneath the grass line is internal and everything above is external, right? So we don't actually know what someone is thinking. We can guess, but we don't actually know, right? So that's why it's internal and it's under the grass line. Above the grass line and above our thoughts are our feelings. So those are external because we can see it. We can see when someone's sad. We can see when someone's excited, right? We can also ask them to find out how they're feeling, but we can see that kind of stuff. Then up in the branches, we have our behaviors and actions. And then up in the leaves, we have our results. So here's how this works. If you have a belief that you work well under pressure, right? Then some of the thoughts are, oh, I can wait. I'm gonna wait. Like, I work well under pressure, so I'll give myself 2 hours instead of 2 days, right? Like I work well there. Okay. And some of the feelings that you might feel are like, ooh, here it comes, right? I get this adrenaline rush and I really like it. And so those are the feelings. And you're like, yes, I'm going to wait. Now the behaviors and actions are that you go and do a whole bunch of other stuff instead of paying attention and doing the thing that you needed to get done, right? So that could be cleaning the kitchen, that could be watching Netflix, that could be going outside and gardening, whatever it is that you do instead of the thing that you need to. And then the results are usually that you're really tired, you're cranky and grumpy, and the thing that you needed to get done, it's not done yet because you're putting it off and you're waiting, right? So let's take a look at this. And I thought, let me back up. I thought it would be fun because along the way, I've actually had you guys doing this. You may not have known that. However, your sheet that you have the 6 questions on, I'm going to tell you how to match these up. So next to question number 3, I want you to write the word beliefs. Okay. Next to question number 5, write the word thoughts. See what we're doing here? I'm like, y'all are catching on. I can see a nod in here. All right. Next to question number 6, write the word feelings. Next to question number 2, write the word behaviors and actions. And next to question 1, write results. So this is what will clue you into your procrastination. Okay. So how do we do that? Now that you've seen, you worked the tree before you even knew you were working the tree. All right. So now that you can see what your results are, you can back it up to figure out what the rest are. Okay. So if your result is that you are climbing up the stairs with a basket of laundry on your hip, when you know darn well you should be doing your taxes, right? That is a result. And you can go, wait a minute, why am I doing this? Hang on. Did I just do that? I have a personal limit for the Netflix that I watch when I'm taking a break, and that's 2 Schitt's Creek episodes. It's perfect because it's just about an hour and I can like decompress and go back. Now, when I start watching the 4th or the 5th one, I'm like, whoa, time out. What's happening? Why am I doing this? What am I avoiding doing, right? So look at the behaviors and your actions, especially the ones that you're doing instead of the thing that you need to do. And start asking yourself, like, why am I doing this? What am I avoiding? Okay. And then once you figure out what that is, well, how are you feeling about it? Then what are your thoughts that are causing it and what are the beliefs? And quite often your thoughts and your beliefs are very, very similar. They're very close with each other. So they'll sound pretty similar there. For some people, it's so interesting to me because I hear my thoughts in my head. So it's like I'm having a conversation. And other people I found out, they actually like kind of read it like subtitles on a movie screen. So however it is that you think or you hear your thoughts, start tuning into them. And it's always going to be triggered by your behavior or your action. Like when you're in the midst of the thing that you use, it's your cover, start asking yourself why. Okay. Other ways to prevent procrastination, there's planning and scheduling. So use your calendar. If something is due on Friday, put an appointment with yourself on Tuesday or Wednesday instead. And honor that time, right? Put it in there and be like I'll put it in. I'm like, do not erase, do not schedule anything else. So I'm like, oh no, I can't move this, right? I have to do this. So planning and scheduling and using your calendar to support you. Use apps. There are some amazing apps that only let you stay on social media for a certain amount of time and then they turn it off. They will literally cut you off. So if that's your thing, use apps to prevent that from happening. Or even better, take the apps off of your phone, right? Do you need to have Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and all of the things on your phone, or can you take it off? The other one is mindfulness. And luckily, it's what you're doing when you pause, when you're like, hang on, why am I doing what I'm doing? That question right there, mindfulness. You're just taking that moment to pause and ask why. What's behind the thing that you're doing? Okay. Another way to do it is to create a goal. And with a goal, you need to have a pathway, which means a way to get the goal to get the goal done. and then an agency, a reason to get the goal done, something that you want to run towards. So Brene Brown uses pathway and agency quite a bit. Get accountability. When you tell someone, I want to do X, Y, or Z by this date and this time, woo, all of a sudden you're going to want to move because you don't want to tell them you didn't get it done, right? So get accountability. And then the last one is to take action now. And when you take action, it's the small steps, right? So when working on taxes, can you just do 10 minutes a day instead of needing to get it all done at one time? Along the way, could you schedule yourself 20 minutes every week to get that week done so you don't have to take hours at a time? What's going to work for you, and what are the small steps that you can do in its place? Okay, so those are the ways that have really worked for me, and as well as my clients, to prevent procrastination. So what I'm going to do is put up a little link to this form. It's basically on Google Forms so that I can get your information. So here's some of the options that you'll have. The first one is let me stalk you. I'd love to follow you on Facebook. This is great for my introverts who aren't really sure. Like, you can kind of watch me from afar. The second one is send me your weekly video by email instead. I put up a weekly mindset video every Monday, and so it'll get sent to you. The third option is I'd love your presentation slides. As I mentioned in the beginning, I'm happy to send them your way. The next option is that my head trash is loud. You know, I'm interested in 4 sessions for $197, and I always do a free 30-minute session to see if we're a good fit. So if you're interested in that, that's great. As I mentioned in the beginning, I have a BOGO package going on. So you buy one package and you get the other one for free for $297. And then the last one is I loved your presentation and I know where else you can speak. I love sharing this and I get giddy sharing it. So if you know of another place to speak, I'm happy to do it. And it's fun for me. So Sayla, do I have time for Q&A? Are we good there? Okay. All right, it's Q&A time. So I'm gonna actually unshare my screen. Oops, hang on. Let me unshare my screen. And then we can have some questions and answers. All right, what do you got? What questions do you have for me? Oh, you guys were busy. This is awesome.
Thoroughly. I did not like the fact that you were calling me out on a bunch of stuff. I am.
That's the detector in me.
Oh, yes. I am definitely the adrenaline junkie. I get excited when I have a timeline and a deadline. And so one of the ways that I help prevent procrastination is I set it earlier than it's actually due.
Yes.
Now, if it's due Friday, I'll set it for Tuesday night or Wednesday. So if I don't quite make it, it's not the end of the world, but there's that pressure to get it done.
Yep. Absolutely. And that's using your planning and your scheduling to do that, right? And the reason why that's in the presentation is, it's my fave as well. So yes.
The other piece of that, though, is I can get caught in procrastinating. I'm sure you've heard that term, but there are times when I will sit down and I've got, the 3 months in front of me, and I'll spend hours and hours planning out every little detail. And it's like, just put it aside and go do your work.
Right.
It's really, that's what you should be doing, not making this beautiful picture that, in 2 weeks when COVID happens, gets thrown out the window anyway. So
yeah.
It's a double-edged sword for me, that sometimes it's amazing and other times I get sucked into procrastinating.
Absolutely. Yesterday, my friends put up on their site to gamify things to make it fun. So she was talking about making like a Candyland board, right? And you get your tasks done so that you can work your way up the Candyland and you can reach your goal and you can have a celebration. I spent like almost 2 hours making my Candyland board before I was like, why am I spending 2 hours making my Candyland board when I could just do the thing, right? And so this is an amazing opportunity to be mindful and aware, but also give yourself grace, right? This is something new. We're learning it and we're getting through, and there's some things that are going to sneak up, but you're going to be aware of it sooner. And that's where the gold is just being aware of it sooner. So you can be like, do I really want to keep working on Candyland or do something else, right? Just having that pause. Awesome. What other questions do you have? None? All right. Cool. Excellent. I will go ahead and put the the link into the chat box. My request is that you just click on the link and then come back to Zoom, and you can fill out the link after we're done with the meeting, because I don't want to distract from anything else Selah has to do. But I'll go ahead and put that in there. So thank you, ladies, for having me, and thank you, Selah.
Awesome. Yay. Thanks, Destiny. Perfect.